Today's episode of the Gold Cast is sponsored by... I've been thinking about this. Ray. You know what we're sponsored by? We're sponsored by being blessed. And this is what I mean by that. I thought about this in the wake of the Warriors' loss, which obviously still looms, heavy over Dub Nation, over Goldcast Nation. I thought about this, though, about just how lucky we are to even be in this position to lose a championship. And that's probably sounds really weird to people, but let me explain. So everyone hear me out. Let me explain this to you guys. The reason I think we're so lucky is because we have literally been in the finals or a World Series or a Super Bowl every year, pretty much every year since 2010. There are cities like the Chicago Cubs who have just won one World Series in 100 years and a Super Bowl back in 85, and that's it. There are other cities that have never won anything. And here we have been lucky to experience two back-to-back dynasties. Back-to-back. I can't believe it. We have had more success in the Big Three than even Boston in this decade. And to lose, to even be in a position to lose a finals after winning as many as we did, we're pretty blessed. And for those who are part of Goldcast Nation, it sucks to lose. But when you think about what we have accomplished on the way to this loss, how many rings this city has won in this decade alone, we're really lucky. And I think that's the biggest takeaway if you're a sports fan from the San Francisco Bay Area, which most of you are. We're really lucky to have even been in this position. And I don't think we're done. I don't think we're done at all. I think the Warriors, after this year, are going to re-up. We're going to talk about that at the end of the episode. But we're going to focus on the team that I think has the biggest opportunity to get there, probably an equally amount of time, and that's our 49ers. But before we do that, Ray, why don't you let them know where can they find us?
You can follow us on Twitter at @the_Goldcast. You can also subscribe to us via iTunes, YouTube, and Stitcher, all under the same moniker of the Goldcast. Like, subscribe, comment, because we love to hear from everybody, and do our best to interact with the crowd, which is really fun for us to do, by the way.
It is really fun. We have so many great comments. Raymond, where can they find you if they want to reach out to you directly?
Like some of our other fans that do follow us, I'm always easiest to follow on Twitter at Ray Solis and Instagram at Ray Solis1. And fans do reach out to me directly. They actually share articles with me sometimes too, and that's really fun and actually helpful too, because sometimes I'm busy with doing other things and I can't stay on top of it right in the moment. And so to get a notification on my phone that something has happened with one of our Bay Area teams
is really helpful. It's very helpful. Absolutely, Ray. You're 100% right. And you can follow me on Twitter at Rudy Solis 3RD, and you can follow me on Instagram at Rudy Solis 3. And if you go down into the description of this episode on your podcast feed, whatever it is, whether it's on YouTube, iTunes, or wherever you have us, wherever podcasts are sold for free, you can go and click and follow all of our handles. They're right there in the description of this episode. Okay, so we are going to start with the 3 biggest takeaways from Minicamp. Just from this Minicamp era, just from the last week of everything that has happened in 49erdom. It is time to get focused, people. We've got around 81 or 82 days before the start of the new season. It is upon us, and it will be here before you can even think about it. But first, as always, the best podcast intro in the game is about to drop. The greatest fanalist is here. Your professor of fanalism is also here. Class is in session. Let's go.
San Francisco, are you ready?
This is the Gold Cast.
Boom! Welcome to another edition of the Gold Cast. We are the voice of the Bay. I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis the first, baby.
Boom, 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 boom. All right. So, Raymond, Minicamp has ended. It's done. The 49ers have wrapped up another one of their crescendoing moments as we head in towards the start of preseason, and that's when it really, really starts to matter. We've got minicamp just ended, then there's training camp, and then we go into preseason. So we have, for the people, we've put together for you guys what we think our three biggest takeaways are. All right, my friends, so here is number one, and then I'm going to toss it over to Raymond, the greatest panelist in the game. Number three. This is actually doesn't have to do with minicamp per se, as we were saying, it was kind of doing with this whole era right now. The offensive line, Raymond, is signed up through 2021. What does that mean? Break that down. Why is that important to the people?
Well, I think it starts with the fact that this whole thing became illuminated because Joe Staley got re-signed. He had a new contract extension that signs him through 2021. So that kind of put everything on notice or on highlight for all of us fans that are following the team, because I'm like, all right, cool. And it was this huge emotional thing. There's videos on it. Matt Mayoko put up videos and had an article just breaking down how it came together and everything. And I thought it was pretty cool. Joe Staley was very emotional, which means he's gonna start his career with the 49ers and end his career with the 49ers, which is super rare these days in sports. And so Staley is signed through 2021, which means Jimmy Garoppolo's blind side is going to be protected by our 6-time Pro Bowl left tackle, which is awesome. Laken Tomlinson is signed through 2021. Weston Richburg is signed through 2022. Mike Person is signed through 21. And Mike McGlinchey, our big draft pick, who's going to be the future of Joe Staley's, once Joe Staley retires, Mike McGlinchey is going to be moving over to left tackle, and then we'll have to address the right tackle after that. And he signed through 2021 and also has a 5th-year option available for 2022, which if he plays well, will obviously pick up that option. And so this means that the cohesion of the offensive line is going to be consistent for the next 3 years at minimum. And that is huge for how the running game plays out, how especially with that we do the zone, Kyle Shanahan does a zone running scheme, which means there's lots of movement. Guys get out in the running lanes and also push downfield. It's not just power, which is more of Jim Harbaugh's take on the running game. It's more of a power running game because Frank Gore's a north-south running back. But with Kyle Shanahan, he uses a 3-4-headed horse to spear the running attack. So that involves a lot of movement, a lot of switching, a lot of I forget what they're called, but it's when, like, Joe Staley will push off to the right side, will come off from the left side and push to the right side, and likewise vice versa. Mike McGlinchey or Mike Person or Lake Tomlinson will push off to one side and they'll basically do stunts. Like on the defensive line, we have stunts where a defensive lineman will come from the right side to the left side or vice versa. They'll do that on the offensive line side if they're going to push strong on one side of a sweep or a toss or on the other side. And so this consistency is huge for any offensive line because in the NFL, it's all about communication. It's 11 on 11, and those 5 positions are such a huge integral part to facilitating what the quarterback does through the air or what the running back does on the handoff. And to know that all of these guys are going to be together with this team for the next 3 years, running this same exact system that we're now 2 years into and going to go on our third, I think is huge, especially with all the new pieces that are in place and some of the pieces that are returning, like i.e. Trent Taylor, and some of our other rookies that we've drafted. And the reason why I mentioned Trent Taylor is because he had a really good mini camp, and there's been a lot of praise talking about him, especially under the new wide receiver coach, Wes Welker, who's obviously a huge influence, and everyone's going to, heed to his tutelage because, his resume speaks for itself. But going back to the offensive line, I think that's huge. It's huge for Jimmy G because he gets to gel with the same guys that are going to be protecting him for the next 3 years. And all the running backs are also going to gel with that same crew too. And the same goes for the offensive line and also the tight ends. So all of that plays into it. Jimmy G is obviously the facilitator of the offense, but it always starts with the offensive line. Every play starts on the line of scrimmage with the offensive line, offensively speaking. And so to know that this group's going to be together, I think is huge. I think it's totally, totally huge. I mean, it means this gelling is going to, because they've been relatively healthy, this group. There haven't been any major injuries. There's been some things that have kept them out of games here and there, but nothing like we're seeing on the defensive side of the football. So this to me is a very good sign heading into training camp and then the regular season, because we need consistency and health. And this is one area that the 49ers have been very good at, and to know that it's going to remain that way for the next 3 years, I think is sorely needed. And not seen a lot with a lot of other teams. I name another team that has all of their starting offensive linemen signed for the next 3 years.
Well, Raymond, I'll do you one better. I can do the opposite. I can name a team whose every offensive lineman is going to be a free agent in 2020. That's those little pesky, douchebaggy Los Angeles Rams.
yes. Who put most of their betting chips on the defense.
Sure did. And the entire offensive line, in a stroke of brilliance, is our free agents in 2020. Incredible. Well done.
Yeah, good luck with that, which is less than 1 year away.
Less than 1 year away. Okay. Number 2, our second biggest takeaway isn't an observation. Well, it is an observation, but it's coming in the form of a question. And that is, will the defense be healthy and ready by the start of the season? A little concerning. Am I right? Especially because we also, similar to what the Rams did last year, we also put a lot of chips in on the defense and really did our best to improve the defense. And on paper, this is a lineup that has a lot of potential. So what are your feelings about this? Will the defense be healthy and ready? And let's just talk about our concerns with this.
Well, first of all, they're not healthy right now. And that's the biggest takeaway that I got out of minicamp. There's a bunch of injuries. Minicamp was not a smooth. There was OTAs and minicamp, and neither of those were very smooth for the team as a whole in regards to health. And that, to me, I don't know how to look at it at this point, because last year it was the opposite. Everybody was healthy. You know, everyone was riding high off of Jimmy G's arrival, and things looked so good and optimistic coming into the regular season, and then everything fell to shit once Jimmy G went down, and then it was just a domino effect of injuries from then on out. And this year, Kyle Shanahan was kind of half joking, like, last year we were healthy, and you saw how that turned out. This year, we got a lot of guys banged up, but they should be ready by the start of the season and or training camp. So maybe it's, a reversal, and they're just getting these things out of the way now. But, some guys are recovering from hamstrings. Nick Bosa, our number 2 pick, number 2? Yeah. He's recovering from a hamstring injury, and he should be ready by the start of the regular season. So he's going to miss training camp, which is unfortunate. But, he's there. He's present. He's there soaking in what he can. He just can't participate in the actual physical drills. And the secondary is an area of huge concern. Jimmy Ward, we took another risk with him. And again, this guy is the real life version of Samuel L. Jackson's character, Mr. Glass from Unbreakable. This poor guy cannot keep his bones together no matter what. I feel so bad for him. So, unfortunately, yeah, we've got a real-life Mr. Glass, and he's signed on the 49ers squad. They said he's going to be ready by the start of the season, but we don't know what we're going to get out of him. But, that was the Rocky thing, another Rocky thing that really kind of stood out to me. Thank God the offensive line is signed and healthy, because the defense is just stinging right now. But on the plus side, you have DeForest Buckner coming back. He's looking good. We have Thomas, who says that he's, more or less, in a better place regarding his family tragedy, and so he's looking to make strides and sort of become the player that he wants to live up to his draft position and his draft stock. We have Sherman, who's coming back, who's going to be even healthier than he was the previous season. We took a flyer on Jason Verrett. If he comes back and is even 75% of his former self, I think that'll be great.
Well, that's the problem with Jason Verrett, though, too, Ray, is that he's also a Mr. Glass.
Yes.
He's also, he's Mr. Glass San Diego edition.
He is, but at least he has Pro Bowls in his. At least he's had moments where he's played at an extremely high level versus Ward, who's been Mr. Glass since year one. So Ward hasn't, been able to live up to any of his potential. He's had, moments in games, let alone Verrett, who's had, good moments through entire stretches of a season. So we'll see, but I mean, this is an area of concern, but most of these guys are going to be ready by the beginning of the season. So I think that is something to look forward to, but there certainly was a lot of question marks and head scratching and almost like just trepidation, learning, the long list of guys that are just not ready to go right now. And it's mostly defense. It is mostly defense again.
It is, and it's frustrating and a little disconcerting, 100%. Let's see what happens as we go into training camp and then preseason. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. All right, so the number one biggest takeaway from minicamp, the return of Jimmy G. Jimmy G's Gucci Gang. He's back. So let's talk about that, Ray.
Well, Jimmy G is wearing a brace. He did mostly 7-on-7 drills, but even that was kind of limited. And minicamp is a very short period of time. It's not. Training camp's going to be much more extensive. All of that, that leading up to preseason is going to be the bulk of the work where they're going to take a deeper dive into the playbook and really start to offense and defense, not just offense, but for the sake of our topic here, Jimmy was limited for the most part, but he did start to go through reps. He did 7-on-7 and worked his way up to 11-on-11, although 11-on-11 was really kind of a snapshot. He did like one of those, and then the next one was 11-on-7. Kyle Shanahan even pulled the defensive line off the field in that second rep that made it 11-on-7. So the coaches are being cautious with Jimmy. Jimmy's being cautious with Jimmy. And I think
we're
a big
being
thing
cautious
now,
with Jimmy.
Yeah. The fans are being cautious with Jimmy. And Jimmy being the person that he is, he seems to have the mentality and in his press conferences and even in some of the flashes of play that we've seen, he's got some of that, what is it, that clout that we see the big names exhibiting year in and year out. And in order to be one of the big names, you've got to train and play like the big names. And so Jimmy G is actually going to participate in the 3D QB program in Southern California to work on mechanics, which is led by a former big league pitcher of all people, Tom House. I've never even heard of him. But what's important to note there is that this is the same workout program that Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, Matthew Stafford, and Jared Goff all participate in. And with the exception of Matt Stafford, all of those other quarterbacks have been to a Super Bowl or have won a Super Bowl. So this is formula replicating that Jimmy G is doing here. And these are the habits that you want to see out of a quarterback. And so I'm definitely glad that he's taken an additional step, not just waiting for training camp to come. He's like, nope, I'm going to do more work, and then I'm going to come into training camp having this new knowledge from this camp too. And I hope he continues to do it every offseason, because these guys, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, those guys, they don't take years off. They do this year in and year out. That's why they play at a high level. That's why Drew Brees and Tom Brady, who are both old, still play like they're in their late 20s, early 30s. Drew Brees looks more youthful than Tom Brady. Tom Brady's kind of a stiff out there, but has the throwing mechanics down so well that he makes it look very easy. But this is part of the reason why they've been able to sustain their careers. Not only have they polished their mechanics, but they're also very good at taking care of themselves health-wise. So Jimmy G's, definitely starting to pick up these habits, and it's nice to see that he's, taking an active. This is not something that somebody told him he needs to do. This is something that he told himself he needs to do, and he's making an effort to do it. So good on Jimmy, because this is how you become a champion.
This is how you become a champion. So those are our 3 biggest takeaways from minicamp. Number 3, offensive line signed up through 2021. The signing of Joe Staley, that is obviously huge. I want to kind of piggyback on that, Raymond, mainly because he has just been the rock for this team, and I love that. Number 2, will the defense be healthy and ready? Bose is talking about
maybe.
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 We don't really know the answer. There isn't really an answer. Bose is talking about how, he should be, quote unquote, should be ready by week 1. And then number 1, Jimmy Garoppolo returns and looks pretty good. Some other kind of odds and ends. Lot of buzz about the wide receivers. A lot of buzz, a lot of competition there. That makes me happy.
There was good buzz on the wide receiver. So, the offense has been relatively healthy. That's why we haven't heard anything. That's why it was not one of our big topics, because it's not an area of concern. So, take that as a positive. We didn't spend a whole lot of time on it. I think Trent Taylor was the one that stood out to me. Dante Pettis also stood out to me. A lot of the draft picks we got the year before are doing much better this year because they've now got a season under their belt. Trent Taylor had a sophomore slump because he came back from back surgery, but everyone's saying that now he looks really, really good this year. He's kind of been one of the large standouts. And of course, we have George Kittle, we have the best tight end in the National Football League, and that's always something to, be happy about and be optimistic about, especially going into the season, because now we have all these other weapons to work with, like Tevin Coleman. I think he's going to be a huge integral part of this offense.
Huge.
To me, he's the most exciting running back out of this group for me personally. So I don't know about you guys out there. Rudy, I don't know who you are excited about as far as the running back core goes, but Tevin Coleman to me seems like, I think he's been healthy most of his career, and he's been productive, and he knows Kyle Shanahan's system. So I feel like this is just a marriage meant to, this is going to fit like a glove.
Tevin Coleman, without question. I think next to Dee Ford, the most important pickup we had in the offseason, and really he is that versatile back that can play wide receiver and running back, and really gives the versatility that Shanahan's looking for. Shanahan has said in this offseason, which I find really interesting, and I look forward to really seeing being executed in the regular season. He talked about how he was really going for a positionless offensive core, where it's positionless, where you've got Kittle, the wide receivers, the running backs moving around, playing different roles, and I think that is so exciting. It's so innovative. And if there's anyone that can pull that off, it's guys like Tevin Coleman and George Kittle. And so what they're doing and what he's trying to execute out there, I think is so exciting, and I think they're going to pull it off.
I think they're going to. But with all the patchwork Kyle Shanahan's done, even the past 2 seasons, he's gotten a lot of productivity out of players that would be waived off of other rosters. So I think that's a credit to Kyle Shanahan and his ability to get the best out of players, even when, they're average or below average.
Yes. All right. Let's go into the big news of the weekend. The biggest news in the sports world here in the US of A. The biggest, without question. Anthony Davis has been traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, let me explain this a little bit to the people, to the Goldcast Nation, Dub Nation. So, I love the Lakers. Been rooting for the Lakers for many, many years. Love the Lakers. They were always like the big brother to the Golden State Warriors. Now, I also have been rooting against LeBron James for many, many years. Greatest player in the game. Don't really agree with a lot of his leadership tactics. Totally am a huge fan of what he's done for the community of Cleveland. A huge fan of all that he has done in terms of what he's done as a community member, as a member of the community of Cleveland, the amount of money he's given, the organizations he's put together. I will never have a single bad thing to say about LeBron James when it comes to that. Not the biggest fan of his leadership, not the biggest fan of the way he treats coaches, not the biggest fan of his passive aggressiveness, his whininess, his ability to disappear at the end of games, his ability to put the blame on everybody but himself and never hold himself accountable. I'm not a fan of any of that. Never been a fan of who he is as a player. Respect his game, but not a fan. So when he joined the Lakers, I had to take my Laker fandom and I had to put it on hold. And I did. I put it on hold because I'm just not a big fan of LeBron James. I would rather just wait this era out. And so the signing of Anthony Davis, there was the Laker fan in me that said, yeah, awesome. But of course, there's the Laker hater in me, the one that doesn't like LeBron James on the Lakers, and said, I don't like this. I don't. I'm happy for Anthony Davis. I'm happy for LA. I'm not happy for LeBron. Now he gets his shiny new toy, and now the Lakers have vaulted themselves by virtue of nothing other than the fact that they're the city of LA. They have vaulted themselves into position to now become the Western Conference favorites. And I think without question, they're the only team in the Western Conference that has 2 top 6 players. The Warriors, everybody in a Warriors jersey right now is in a hospital in a full body cast, with the exception of Steph Curry. So the Warriors have already called this year a stopgap year. Kerr jokingly went to Adam Silver and said, hey, can we take the year off? And so the Warriors are done. We have to understand this, Dub Nation. I'm not saying they're not going to be competitive. I'm not saying that they're not going to. Maybe they get in as an 8th seed, or maybe they even somehow worm their way down. You never know. Worm their way down to the 6th, the 5th, or the 4th. But this is officially the Lakers season as of right now. They're going for Kemba Walker, who is going to replace Lonzo Ball as their primary ball handler, their ball passer. And they really have an opportunity now to seize the day. And then the rumor this morning, Goldcast Nation, is that Kyrie Irving really wants to play with AD. So now they have an opportunity to basically create a version of the Warriors down here in Los Angeles. You're talking about a 3-headed monster, possibly, of LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Kyrie Irving. Which, man, I wish the Warriors were fully healthy and locked and loaded, because if we were fully healthy, I would actually love this. I'd be like, let's go. Clay, KD, Steph versus LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving. Let's go. That is like Hogan versus the Giant. That is like Tyson versus Holyfield. I mean, I don't pick your version. That is Thanos versus the Avengers. There's a million ways I can describe that. But now we have this situation, Goldcast Nation, where it is possible for Kyrie Irving to go. Now, there's still you gotta put that with a grain of salt. You gotta remember, Kyrie Irving fired his agent, signed with Rock Nation. Rock Nation, the guy who runs Rock Nation, his twin brother is the guy who runs the Nets. So there are a lot of connections here. This is far from a done deal, but huge news coming out of Southern California, coming out of the Los Angeles Lakers, the wine and gold. Anthony Davis to the Lakers. Raymond, share your thoughts. What do you think now that this has happened? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's a little disappointing because it means we have to hate the Lakers even more now. And if Kyrie Irving indeed does go back, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we have to take that one with a huge grain of salt, because there seems to be more legitimate influence pointing towards him joining the Nets than there are towards him pointing towards LA. Even though I know he had that famous Instagram post of him with the jersey, I think he's just flirting and memeing a little bit, and that there's more truth to the Nets than to LA, because the rumor didn't say, "Ooh, I would love to play with AD and LeBron." It just said he wants to play with AD, and it might be true that, oh yeah, the prospect of playing with AD might be great, but I don't know if I'd want to do that with LeBron. It just might be the general sense that, hey, I've been interested in playing with AD. Sure, I think there's no reason to not believe that. There's no reason to fully believe it otherwise. But I also think that this is going to be, LA, I think, is going to be the favorite going into the next season, and rightfully so. But only by default, not because of anything, not because of they've been a dominant team. To me, LeBron, I think he's going to be LeBron coming off his injury, although I'd be very surprised if that injury slowed him down. I don't think it's going to. He's very good about his health, and his health throughout his career is indicative of that. And so I just think that this next NBA season is going to be similar to the Giants season, albeit a lot more competitive, because we still have some great pieces in place with Curry and Draymond Green, obviously on the starting lineup, and whoever else we're able to retain.
You mean the current Giants season?
The current Giants season, yes. And I think that I'm already thinking of it in different terms. That's how bad the Giants are right now. And the Giants will start to get going next season. That's when things will really pick off. We're just waiting for Bochy to retire and give him his farewell. That's more or less what's happening over there. But with the Lakers, it's kind of whatever. I mean, if Kyrie does join, then I think your prediction is right. It's the opposite, right? Like, we thought that Kyrie didn't want to be LeBron's bitch boy, but if it does happen, turns out he does want to be LeBron's bitch boy. It turns out that he also wants to be the bitch boy of Anthony Davis, because he's going to be the number 3 option at that point. Davis and LeBron are going to share the number 1. They're going to switch off from number 1, number 2, and he's going to be number 3. I don't think that Kyrie would want to take a step down to number 3 after being number 1 and 2 for the majority of his career.
Well, what concerns me is that Kyrie already had expressed interest in joining the Lakers when he first decided he was going to test the free agency market and not re-sign with the Celtics. So this was something he was already considering. And now that Anthony Davis is there, who stops them? If he joins them, they're a lock. It's a lock, barring catastrophic injury, or unless Kawhi stays with Toronto and they somehow shut them down, because again, you have to look at what they gave up, right? Because they really can. They've got about $32.5 million in cap space, I believe is what they have. And
the Lakers or the Toronto?
The Lakers. So they sign. So Kemba Walker can, if Kemba Walker stays in Charlotte, he can get the biggest contract there if he stays. But theoretically, if he leaves, they could possibly sign him and Kyrie to a 1-year deal. Let's just get the ring. And they have the money to do that. I believe it's $32.5 million. It might be 35.2. We don't always fact. That's not stuff I fact checked on the Gold Coast.
Jimmy Butler should go to Toronto. That's what he should do if I were him.
Jimmy Butler goes there and joins Kawhi. The only problem with Jimmy Butler is that he's kind of he's just, he has a history of really disrupting teams. He's not a chemistry guy.
Being a dick.
Yeah.
like Kyrie Irving.
Yeah,
and LeBron.
Yeah, he has a history of disrupting chemistry. I'm not
Kyrie,
sure.
Kyrie has injury history too. I would not be surprised if wherever he goes in this upcoming season, if he gets injury. He was injured in the Celtics. He was injured with the Celtics. He was injured with Cleveland. He's injured on more than one occasion with Cleveland, and with more than one occasion with Boston. So, I don't trust his health. I trust his ability, but not not his health.
Well, so let's talk about how this impacts the Warriors, as we promised at the beginning of this episode. I think the window for KD to return is bigger than ever.
Well, KD's completely off the table for LA now. And I think LA knew that once he got injured and they lost.
Yeah. Well,
I said, or maybe, I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the head of the Lakers, but that seems to be the insinuation.
Well, KD was never going to join LeBron. I don't give a F what LeBron thought or what Rich.
He's called him toxic.
Yeah.
In public.
Yeah. No, there's no way. There was no way. But the biggest loser in all this is the Knicks.
As usual.
As usual. Per the usual. And you know what? Let me say this, and then I want to get to this Warriors thing. Let me just say this real quick to all my Laker friends who talk about how it was garbage that KD signed, ruined basketball, blah, 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 blah. The Warriors built their team the right way. They built their team through the draft, got key pickups in free agency, a lot of them to the bench originally. And then when the best player available, Kevin Durant, became available after 9 years of trying to get a small market team to the big show, finally got tired of playing with Russell Westbrook. He decided he wanted to go to the best team available. And the best team available was the Golden State Warriors. We built our team the right way, and there's nothing wrong with the best player available wanting to go to the best team to learn from the best system. And that's what he said he wanted to do. The Lakers have literally done nothing to deserve this roster. They have been the most dysfunctional franchise. They have made bonehead move after bonehead move. They literally have done nothing. What is LeBron James here to do besides win championships? Film Space Jam 2. Who gives a shit about Space Jam 2? Okay, so I can't stand when the most dysfunctional franchise, as dysfunctional, arguably more than the New York Knicks, sits here on their little pouty throne giving all this crap about, oh, the Warriors, oh, KD, la, 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 la. Well, now you got your team and you've done nothing to deserve it. You've literally been the most dysfunctional, laughable joke of a franchise this entire time. But the only reason you have them is because you're LA, because you're Los Angeles, because you are literally the multimedia center of the entire world. I get it.
And they gave up close to the house just to get him.
Gave up close to the house. AD. Yeah.
Michael Magic Johnson left. There was a bunch of drama between him and what's his name? I can't remember his name. He looks like Rob Lowe.
Oh, Rob Pelinka. The other Rob.
Yes. Yeah, the other Rob. The other Bizarro Rob.
Bizarro Rob.
He drama between him and Magic. They fired Luke Walton. You know, they just got a new coach. So they don't even have a system in place for these guys.
No.
You know, they've got drama. They've got Space Jam 2, and now they've got Anthony Davis.
Yeah, and Frank Vogel as the coach, and then Jason Kidd as his assistant coach, because we all know halfway through the season when LeBron James hates Frank Vogel, Jason Kidd is going to usurp him to get the job.
Yes, and he's going to become the next Ty Lue minus, short of a championship.
Yeah, we know this is exactly happening. So don't give me any crap, because you guys are a joke of a team, and you don't deserve your team. But it's okay when LA does it. It's just not okay when the Warriors do it. Golden State can't jack the tables to ensure themselves, but the Lakers can all the time. That's totally okay. Just the double standard drives me insane. Anyways,
yes, they've been the Yankees of the association for decades.
For decades, that's what they've always done. But the Warriors do it, and it's bullshit. And, oh, my God, they just make sports so unfair, blah, 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 blah. Lakers can do it, though. Lakers, it's okay. It's okay if the Lakers do it. That's totally okay. Anyways, I digress. This is why I hate the Lakers until LeBron leaves. We'll see how I feel afterwards. As I've mentioned a million times on this podcast, the Warriors are back in San Francisco. I am a San Francisco-born native, Mission 23rd, St. Luke's Hospital, same as you, Raymond, St. Anthony's, Presida Park, let's go, Army Street. So I cannot.
I still call it Army Street.
Huh?
I still call it Army Street amongst native friends when I'm speaking to everybody else. It's Cesar Chavez.
Yeah, because that's how they know it. And on all due respect, Cesar Chavez was a great man. No issues there.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
So no issues there. But yes, among natives, it's Army Street. And it's all good. I'm fine with both. So I digress. We're digressing. All right. Back to this, though. This opens the window for Kevin Durant to come back. This opens it wider than ever before. It is time. It is, as Klay Thompson said, there is unfinished business. And you're watching. If Kyrie ends up going to the Lakers, where's KD going to go? He's not going to go anywhere. He's going to stay right here, re-up, and we are going for Lakers Warriors 2021. It is in the books. You can put it in. I'm telling you right now, I think already the Anthony Davis trade stacks it in our favor. Now, Kyrie, even if he goes to the Nets, I don't think KD resigns. I think he's staying right here. The injury and the loss, Klay Thompson in his ear, the Warriors in his ear, Bob Myers in his ear, Steve Kerr's in his ear. I think he comes back. He resigns right here, and we get this team together. Now, I'm not saying it's in stone, but if Kyrie goes to the Lakers, I think you could put that in stone. What do you think?
I think so. Absolutely. You know, they can. This whole season is now going to be about getting healthy, and then next year everyone's going to get a break. They might even they're going to have a shorter season, meaning they're not going to get to the finals. I think that is a foregone conclusion. It's an easy bet to take, and I think as a result, they're going to have extra time off during the off season to really get refreshed, re-energized, to go on, you know, another run. For how long that run lasts, it obviously won't last. I'd be very surprised and doubtful that it goes 5 years straight again. But this year is a pause, kind of like the pause when Michael Jordan paused with the Chicago Bulls to go retire and try baseball for whatever the hell reason was, you know, what's going on in his head at the time. But in this case, we're going to pause to get healthy, have a shorter season as a result, and then come back in 2020-2021 season to start a new run. What the landscape of the team looks like there, and as far as the bench is concerned, I think will be very different. Iguodala might be retired by then. Sean Livingston will certainly be gone by then. So they'll have to address those concerns then. But for now, they're still with us, and you know, for the future, for the immediate future, not the long-term future, but I think 2 years from now, you know, we're going to be back in the race, and we're going to be just as strong as we have been.
Agreed. So, LA, enjoy this moment, because this moment, more than likely, has now put us in position to come back and kick your ass all over the court and reclaim the throne. We just got to wait a season. I can wait a season. Ray, can you wait a season?
That's fine.
It's fine.
Especially since two of our biggest stars are not even going to be there.
Yeah, it's fine. You know? It's fine. So this is enjoy it, because the Kings, we will be back. And I'm not talking Sacramento. I'm talking Golden State. All right. So, Raymond, that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. Another jam-packed episode. It's great to have you back. Goldcast Nation, isn't it great to hear Raymond's voice again? It's not just me ranting in your ear like a maniac. So it's great.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Thank you. No, there won't. There definitely isn't. So, Raymond, we hopefully we're going to have – I'm still not going to spoil this interview. I'm going to try and lock up this interview with this person for this week, but you know who this person is. Just tell the Goldcast Nation how awesome this interview is going to be.
I think you guys are going to be really excited once you find out who it is, which you'll find out during the episode when it actually drops live.
That's right. And this is, if you're a native and you follow all three sports, you're going to be excited about who this person is. This is somebody I've seen a million times and never spoken to. So this is a super fan. All right. This is somebody that's a pretty big super fan. I'm very excited to talk to. Any final thoughts, Ray?
No, I think we're good.
Awesome. Me too. So concludes another edition of the Goldcast. We are the voice of the Bay. I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis the First, baby.
We'll see you next time. Same Goldcast time, same Goldcast channel. Let's go.
This is the Goldcast.